Hello and welcome back to my channel, Bookish Lady Night, where we get a look behind the book. Today I am joined by the lovely Lisa Suzanne, who is the author behind several series, some of them being The Vegas Aces, my favorite band, and the Nash Brothers, which just had a new release, which is actually right behind her, Second Down Scrooge, which I read and it was adorable and I highly, highly recommend it for this holiday season. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Course. I definitely, when I finished that book, it was just like all the sweet and spicy, like Hallmark vibes, and just like the perfect little novella for the holiday season. So I
Hallmark
really
After
enjoyed
Dark,
it.
right?
Yes, exactly. Oh, that's a good way to put it. Hallmark After Dark. That is so true. I love that. So, when you are writing, how do you go about picking locations or towns for your books?
Good question. So, I'm most known for my Vegas Aces football team, which is obviously a fictional football team. And I started writing the Vegas Aces before the Raiders moved to Vegas. So, it like all happened at once. And then I wrote a baseball series too that's the Vegas Heat before is it Anaheim like made the deal with Vegas too. So,
Yeah.
my readers are like, okay, what other teams does Vegas need? Because Lisa can start writing them and manifest it. That's kind of like the joke with my readers, right? But I live in the Phoenix area and I'm originally from Chicago suburbs. And both those areas make appearances in my books, but I've just
Mhm.
always loved Vegas and felt like there was something fun and magical and different about it. So that's where I set a lot of my books. And I always say too that if there's anywhere I would live besides where I live right now, it would be San Diego because I just love San Diego. So now I have a new team, the San Diego Storm,
Mhm.
which is one of my Nash brothers, this pink one.
Huh.
He plays for the San Diego Storm. So I thought having four brothers all on the same team, even in fiction, didn't seem like
Yeah.
realistic. So, okay, four brothers playing in the NFL, we could get past, but I had to come up with a new team for one of them. So I set that one in San Diego.
Near San Diego. That used to be where I lived when we first moved out here, but I'm actually from Phoenix. That's my
Funny.
hometown.
How funny. I'm in Chandler, so not far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time we visited here, my brother moved here the year before we did, and the first time we visited was January. And that's like what convinced us to move. Like no better time to visit Phoenix, especially
Yeah.
coming from Chicago than
Yes.
January. So
Yes.
that sold us. We're like, let's
Yeah.
move there.
Do you struggle with the heat there?
We've been here since 2006 now, and I feel like every year it gets a little bit harder on the system. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like feels like a longer stretch between the nice weather
Mhm.
and the hot weather. So it wears on you, but it's kind of the opposite of living somewhere like Chicago where you can't go anywhere in the winter and it's just don't stay inside in the summer or stay in the
Yeah.
shade. And
Yeah,
you
exactly.
kind of get used to it, but it's brutal
Yes. It's like your face melts off when you go outside.
for sure.
So when you're planning out a new story, do you have a mood board or an outline, or are you more of a pantser?
I do. I have an outline and I used to teach high school English, so I have like a whole pre-writing process. And I kind of get to know the characters. It really helps that I write in series where they're all spin-offs of each other. So we've met a lot of these characters before and it's really just digging in and getting to know them better when it gets to their books. And I love that. And I love having my former characters make appearances in my more recent stuff too. And I know like my longtime readers love those little Easter eggs too. So I just have like a whole pre-writing process where I really get to know my characters and then I just use write in Word and I do chapter headers and each chapter has like a couple sentences for what's going to be in that chapter and then that's my outline. And really
Okay.
like each of those chapters kind of usually turns into like two or three chapters. So like I'll outline maybe like 20 to 25 chapters and then my books end up being like 60 chapters by the end. My full length standalones too. So they turn into more and morph along the way, but that's kind of my process for I can write really fast when I have an outline and know where I'm going. So
Yeah. That I feel like, does it ever get to the point when you're writing, let's say there's a character that's in your head that's like really loud and like you had a plan and then they're like, no, we're going over here. Do they do
yeah.
that?
Yes, they make their own decisions as I'm writing. And I'm like, this doesn't work with what my outline says. So then I have to go back and fix it a little bit or catch it back up to where it meets. But I like having like kind of that general knowledge of where the story's going because I it just really helps me like with just getting words down and having
Yeah.
that direction.
Do you do that? Is it like is it called a character interview, a character profile for your characters?
Yeah, I have like a list of questions, and then I've kind of taken different craft books and created my own like worksheet off of it.
Hmm.
It's the teacher in me.
Yeah.
But it's so one of them is it's just called goal motivation conflict. And so I come up with like what are the goals and the that my characters have and what's their motivation for reaching those goals and then what conflicts are going to come in that prevent them from getting to those goals. And then how does that interact like with each other? So really like the main thing in a romance is how is whatever her goal is not his goal. Like how is that working against, so maybe she wants kids and he doesn't. So how do they end up together in a situation where they have kids or they don't. And that's kind of like the journey of the characters is coming to that. How can he fix her goal and help her reach it? And how can she help him with his too?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So, how do you celebrate milestones? I mean, you have a lot of books out that I just
Absolutely.
added to my TBR, but how do you celebrate all your
Yeah.
milestones?
So I have 75. This is my 75th book that I published. And kind
Amazing.
of thank you. The reason that I got so many books so quickly, it started with Home Game. So it's kind of like a shorter book. And I went to a author conference where they were just talking about like if you write shorter books, you can publish more often. And I was like, that's interesting. And so I had this 3-book series it was going to be. And I was like, I wonder if I could break it because I was in the middle of writing it, break it into 5 books instead of 3. And so that's what I did. And this is the first book in that series, Home Game. And they're all about this length. They're all technically full length novels. They're like right around 40 to 50,000 words. But they look short, and it creates the whole series. So I have 8 different series like this, which is a total of 40 books. And then this summer, I decided I wanted to do standalones instead. And then that's when I got started with Dating the Defensive Back. And that's quite a bit longer, right? It's a full length. And that was the first in the Nash Brothers series. And this one, like, kind of went crazy. It just took off. And now, so it came out in June, and it is now my top seller all time. And I've been publishing since 2013. So 11 years, going on 12 years. And this is just came out in June, and it's surpassed everything. It's been like a crazy exciting year because of that book. So
Amazing.
yeah,
That's so great.
how I celebrate my release. And I got into like all these different side notes. But so usually because I have 2 kids, right? They're 5 and 8. When I release a book, I'm like, I'm not cooking tonight. So we'll order pizza. It'll be pizza night. And they opened one of my favorite Chicago pizza places not too far from us. So we'll usually order pizza from there to celebrate. And that's just really all I do. For me, my celebration is getting started on the next book, like diving right into
Are
what
you
comes
ready?
next. So
Yeah.
I just like, I have always loved writing and I love everything about this career. And I used to teach high school English and it was great. And I loved my students and we had a lot of fun, but it's like not exactly where my passion was. And when I had my 8-year-old, we decided I'd quit teaching and stay home and with him and try writing full time. And it's just been like the most amazing thing. I just love what I do. And I know this is where my passion is. So it's a lot of fun.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
I'm very lucky that I get to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I've talked to a couple authors that that's their end goal, and then I just talked to a couple that just got there, and I'm like, it's
Yeah,
so cool to see like the progress of people achieving that for themselves and
absolutely.
being able to be their own boss and
Yeah,
do what they love because there's so many in the world that don't do what they love.
absolutely. Yeah, it's hard. And it's hard finding what you love too.
Yeah. And
Yep.
having that time to explore it. So that's really great. So this is kind of a fun question. So what is your favorite beverage and snack to have while you're writing?
My favorite beverage is coffee. I always have coffee and I always have water. I try to drink a gallon a day. So that, and then snack. I don't really eat much when I'm writing because you get crumbs on the keyboard.
Mhm.
But I actually, so this is kind of funny. In this book, the main male character likes Tootsie Rolls, and it's kind of like a running joke in my house that like everybody hates Tootsie Rolls except me. And so I always get them from all the Halloween, and I don't like love them. They're just like an easy, you can chew on it for a while kind of treat,
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
chocolatey. So I would probably say Tootsie Rolls. I kind of like just chewing on a Tootsie Roll while I'm writing.
So is there a moment that you can recall where you felt really proud?
Yeah, there's been like a few along the way. So when I used to write rock star romance before I flipped to sports. And so A Little Like Destiny was Actually, I have it over here somewhere. I'll grab it in a second. But when I was in college, I remember I would like write stories like on yellow legal pads. I would like handwrite my stories. And eventually I typed it out, and it was that book that became A Little Like Destiny. But it was not the first book I published because I loved that story so much. And I was scared when you're first publishing, you have no idea what you're doing. This was 2013, before all these resources were available to everyone. And we didn't have all the Facebook groups and the, like mentoring and all this different stuff that goes on now. And so I just like threw my first book out there. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's actually unpublished now. My first 6 books are actually unpublished now because I don't feel like they fit with how I write now because I was new and I didn't know what I was doing. And so, but A Little Like Destiny was, I think, my 14th book, and it's a trilogy. And it's a love triangle between a rock star and like a CEO, and they're brothers. And then a teacher, because I used to be a teacher. So you write what you know, right? Not that I know anything about rock stars and CEOs, but yeah. So, and it's this love triangle, and there's cheating, and it's like, I think that's one of my first like proud moment. It felt like a breakout book because it did really well for me from where I had been before that. So that one was really special to me. And then Home Game was my 30th book, and that was the first book I had that hit Amazon's top 100 in the Kindle store, and it stayed there for almost a month. So I was really proud of that accomplishment as well. And then Dating the Defensive Back was my next one because it was my first standalone sports romance. And I had no idea how it was going to do or how it was going to be received because I was so used to writing these 5 book series. So I felt like that was like in a really exciting moment because that also hit the top 100 and stayed there for about a month. It actually beat Home Game by one day. It stayed in the top 100 one day more than Home Game did.
Love that. That's so great.
Yeah. So those are kind of like my super proud accomplishment moments.
Those are great moments for sure. That
Thank
must
you.
have been like a wow moment for you for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So does writing energize you or does it make you tired?
It totally depends on the day and what I'm writing. I do find if I haven't written in a while, I start to get cranky with people around me. So I feel like in that way, it energizes me and kind of feeds me in different ways. And it's just like part of who I am. I have to be writing or something's missing. But then sometimes you get those really emotional scenes and they can be really draining too. So it just kind of depends on what I'm working on.
So, what are your favorite tropes to read and what are your favorite tropes to
Cheating. I love reading cheating books. I don't publish them as much because there's so much animosity toward that trope, but I love to read it. And I've written a few. None of my sports have cheating, but a lot of my rock stars do. And then my favorite to write is Brother's Best Friend. And I don't even know why, but I just realized as I was looking through my books how many Brother's Best Friend I have. So it's a fun one. And Fake Relationship is always a fun one too.
Yeah, those are good. Those are good ones. I love the brother's best friend and I love fake dating or fake marriage or marriage of convenience, I think it's called.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, those are great ones for sure. Have you ever suffered from writer's block?
Yeah, I think like it kind of hits everybody in different ways. And I don't, have you heard of the Clifton Strengths? I don't
No, I
know.
haven't.
But there's I don't Becca Syme is just a really big name in this industry, and she coaches people on their strengths. And so it's like strengths for writers specifically is what she does. And so I took this test, and it's you get like all there's 34 I think strengths that every person has, but it kind of ranks them from 1 to 34. And so my top 5 put me in this place where like my number 1 is achiever, right? So like that's what feeds my whole personality is to achieve things. So like I make to-do lists, and when I check things off, that's what drives me, right? When I was actually doing my coaching for the Clifton Strengths, they told me basically like because of my top 5 strengths that if I have writer's block, it'll hit me for like a day, but then I'll get over it and jump right back in the next day. So it's kind of like a weird, like it'll hit me and I'll be like, oh, I don't know where this is going. But then I'm able to kind of back out of the story or read back what I've written and kind of figure out where it went off track, and then I can jump right back in. So typically if I hit writer's block, it only slows me down for a couple of days just because of the way that my strengths and my personality are.
Yeah.
But it's still like when you hit it, it's like, how am I ever going to get out of this? But I've
Yeah.
seen like because of other authors have different top strengths that they're in it for months and months. And it's like, oh, that would be so horrible. Like, I don't know how you get out of it. But for me, it's just like backing up and figuring out why am I at this spot where I can't figure out what happens next. And then it helps me kind of push forward.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. I'm gonna have to look that up. I haven't heard of that before, so
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
check that out for sure. So, do you have anything that's like your writing kryptonite?
My kids, can I say
I think that's
that?
for all moms for sure.
Yeah, like my writing hours are when they're at school and I've stopped really trying to get anything done once they're home and on the weekends because like for one thing I really want to focus on them and I want to be present for them, but for another thing like it's impossible to get work done when they're mom, can I have a snack? Mom,
Yes,
constantly. So I would say that's the
that's your writing kryptonite. So, if you could go back in time, back in 2013 when you started, and talk to your younger writing self, would there be anything that you tell yourself now after all the stuff you've learned?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. Like I think, you know what, I would probably tell myself to switch to sports earlier because there's just so many like the pool of readers for sports romance is so much broader than the pool of readers for rock star romance. And there's definitely overlap through all the different genres and stuff, but I was really focused on rock stars for a long time. And but the switch to sports was like a total career changer for me. So that's probably would be one of the things. And also, like back in 2013, we really didn't write based on tropes, and tropes are what sell books now. And so I think I would put a heavier focus in my earlier books on those, like we were talking about, fake engagement and brother's best friend and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Has there been a trope that you've wanted to write that you haven't yet?
So I'm actually doing best friends to lovers right now is what I'm working on. And I realized like as I'm going through this, I've never done this trope before. And like they're just so close, but he's always like had that secret pining feelings for her and hid it from her this whole time. And now things are happening. So it's kind of a fun one. And it's also like we were talking about writer's block a little while ago. Sometimes I'm finding when I'm writing this one that I'm running into these little walls of like, I don't really know where they go from here because like I've never done this trope before. So it's been fun writing it because I've just never done it. It's a new adventure. So you could still find new things after 75 books. Like you could still,
Yeah.
find new tropes and new things to try.
I'm looking forward to reading that for sure. So, what is the most difficult thing about writing for you?
Probably just finding the time, because in this career, and I'm sure you've heard this because you interview lots of authors, it's not just writing. Like you don't just get to sit at the computer and write all the time. It's a business. So like I always say I spend maybe 10 to 20% of my time writing and the rest of it is running a business. So, even with assistance, I'm still answering emails and posting TikToks and coming up with content for Facebook and then there's like the financial side of it too and managing that and your subscriptions and all these different things. So I think just that it's, there's not as much time to write as you think there's going to be.
Can see that. I have my own small business, so like, and it's a craft business, so I spend X amount of time with that, and then it's like all the back end stuff. It's almost like I don't want to do any of that. I want to spend my time doing this.
Just
So
want to craft. Yeah.
yeah,
Like Kelly does in Second Down Scrooge.
she is like I was like I loved that. I loved that. She was so cute in that. So that whole story was just so cute, and I just loved how you did that story
Thank
because
you.
it's not one I've actually read a lot of, actually, because not to be spoiler, but they already have a kid together and they like grew apart because of background, which I'm not going to say. But then you had to like get them to come back together, and like
Right.
that's not one that's done very often.
Right. Like
Usually,
a
it
second chance,
yeah,
single mom, single dad at the same time.
yeah, and it's not like they are actually the two people that need the second chance. Usually, it's like
Yeah.
they had someone else before, and now it's a new guy or a new
Yeah.
girl, and so I liked that. I really
Yeah.
liked that.
Oh, thank you.
So of course, so on the flip side, what's the easiest thing about writing for you?
Well, like I said, when I outline and I have like my direction and I can just like fly through words and just like you're tapping those keys and it just feels so good. That's probably like my favorite part of writing, when it's like just flowing and going smoothly. But that's not always easy to arrive at that. So it's like, but when you get there, that's the easiest part is you know the story, you know the characters, you know where it's going, and that feels awesome.
Yeah. So then flipping back, it's a little bit of a different question. What's the most difficult scenes for you to write?
Probably sex scenes.
Yeah.
And I think because with 75 books out, like I was just I texted my friend the other day. So I don't know if you know Julie Saman. So we're best friends and like we text each other all day every day. So and it's funny because we'll send each other stuff like in any other profession like you could not text this to somebody. I texted her, I'm like, I think my characters have done it in every possible place in a hotel room. Like I cannot come up with somewhere new. Like we're up against the window, we're in the bathroom with the dresser, the bed, the floor, whatever. Like I have nowhere new for them to go.
Yeah. I've
So
heard that to like have the something new in the original
yeah,
bit. It's hard
it
for
is.
sure.
It is. Yeah. And you still want to feel like that emotional connection and have it be like hot and intimate and sexy and all that. And those are tough. It's tough to write those and to make them different every time.
Yeah.
There's only
No,
so many ways to say. That's what my
so
husband
yeah,
says. Put
there's
it
only
in,
so
take it
many
out.
ways to like make it different and unique without making it the same. Especially when you've written so many, it's like how many times can we do this way, and how many times
Right.
can we do this way to make it keep it fresh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. I'm on an art team for one of her books that's coming out.
Yeah.
So
Undeniably married.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just got it actually. So that's one of the ones I'm going to be starting soon. So I'm
So
excited.
here's a funny story about that book too. I'm gonna tell her I told you this too. So she like just placeholder named her character for that book, and this is a second generation series that she's writing. So she was writing the first generation, and the dad's Asher. I can't remember the mom, and so they end up having a kid, and she named it Mason after my son Mason, not knowing that she was going to make this a second gen series and now her main character is named Mason because she just randomly picked a name. So that's when you read that book, that's where the name came from.
Oh, I love that. That's like a little Easter egg. I love that. That's really great. So have you ever thought about doing like a co-writing type of thing with her?
We are both such control freaks that we agree like we couldn't there's no way it would work. But we have talked about maybe doing like a special edition if we're at a signing together where we have both of our books in it or something like that. So
That
I
would
don't
be
know if we
fun.
will, but we've talked about it. Yeah. And we're going in January. We're doing a weekend together in Fort Lauderdale. So it'll be like a time to brainstorm stuff like that and see what we come up with.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. So have you done a lot of book signings?
I try to do a few a year, but it's hard to get out with two little kids back home. So like I did three this year. I did Love in Vegas, Indies Invade Philly, and something I'm blanking another one, and then next year there's one in Phoenix, so Wild and Windy West, and then Wild and Windy Chicago, and then Sports Romance Con in Minnesota. So that's what I have lined up right now.
I'm gonna have to look at the one in Phoenix. That's close to me. I should
Yeah,
maybe try that. I've never been to a signing and I really want to go. I think it'd
they're
be so much
fun.
fun to see all
Do
that.
so Wild and Windy West has a Facebook group too, and Wild and Windy is like the original one was in Chicago, and now they do Vegas and Phoenix, and it's just they run really good signings, so I recommend it. Yeah,
I'll check it out
yeah.
for sure. So then on the flip side, what is your most favorite scene to write?
Ooh, I like drama, so like anything, I like writing the drama and I like making it angsty and stuff. So those are fun for me. I like third act breakups because there's like always good drama and stuff there. Although I don't know if I'm gonna have one in the one I'm writing now because I'm not sure if it fits organically or not. But those I just like that kind of the emotional and drama scenes.
Yeah, the angst stuff because then it's like it pulls the reader in and you're just like
Yeah.
heartbroken along with the character.
Hmm.
So it's definitely good. So what or who inspired your writing to like really do this?
I would probably have to say my husband. So, like I said, I used to write my stories on yellow legal pads when I was in college and probably even high school. I remember taking a creative writing class. I just always loved writing and making up stories and stuff. But I was always really like shy. I didn't want to share them with anyone. And then my husband and I started dating when I was a freshman in college. So he probably like knew that I was writing on these yellow legal pads, right? And he, at some point, I gave him something of mine to read, and he's like, "Oh, this is really good." And I was like, "I don't know." And then later, he heard a podcast that, like, back in 2012, probably about Amazon and how you could self publish on Amazon and all this stuff. And I was a teacher at the time. So I was like, well, we got to come up with a pen name. And we were talking about like our street name with my dog's name, like trying to come up with stuff. ultimately I went with my first and middle name because I didn't want my students to stumble on my books.
Yeah.
And it kind of took off from there. I did the first one and someone was like, "Oh, I love this. Is there going to be another one?" And I was like, "Yeah." I didn't have any plans for like there's going to be two more. So now I have to like scramble and write two more in that series and then it just went from there. I just kept going.
It's always good. I love seeing there's spouses and they like root for the writers and they're involved and they like, the sounding board. So I love hearing that for sure.
He's super involved and supportive and like at someday our eventual goal is for him to just be able to work for me and he does some stuff for me now like he does a lot of financials and that kind of thing and yeah, he's awesome. So
Great. That's really
I'm very
great.
lucky.
Yeah, that is very,
And I
very.
swear he's not standing like right back there.
So this might be hard because you have a lot of books and it's also like picking your favorite child. So I'm sorry ahead of time. But do you have a favorite that you would consider like your favorite book boyfriend out of your guys?
Ooh, I don't know. That's hard. Maybe, well, so like I love Hot Luke from Home Game. He's a good one. But then I also love Grayson from Dating the Defensive Pack. I still have these books like right on my lap.
Yeah.
So probably Grayson's pretty one of my favorites.
So then which character is most like you out of your character?
I don't know. I think there's probably like a tiny bit of me in all my female characters. And I know like in Home Game, Ellie is like a total klutz. And that's kind of like me. I fall a lot. We always laugh about like one time my husband and I were just walking down the sidewalk and like I fell off the sidewalk and sprained my ankle. And he always says like I turned around and was like, "Where did she go?" And I'm like laying on the ground.
No.
Literally fell off a sidewalk twice. That has happened to me. I've sprained my ankle both times.
Yeah, I'm a
So just
klutz
silly
too.
things. Yeah, silly things like that. So, I don't know. Probably Ellie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very notorious for like not looking like and then tripping over air and then like spilling a drink down my front and I'm like,
Yes.
okay. So very much the
Too
same.
funny. I love it.
So do you know when you're gonna add like the plot twists or do they kind of like the characters like walk you there?
Probably when I'm like doing my outlining is when I kind of come up with like where the twist is going to go. So I usually know like about where it's going to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then have you ever done a cliffhanger type
Yes.
story?
So
Yes.
these short books all have ending cliffhangers.
Okay.
And it's a 5 book series and they're all on Kindle Unlimited. And most of them actually are in box set now, so you can get the whole thing in one volume.
Yeah.
Um,
You had one
so
on the Kindle sale last week, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, I bought
Um,
that one. I
that
can't
was
I can't
the green one.
yeah.
Which one's on Kindle deal right now? I think the Coach series
Yeah,
is.
I think it was the Coach one. It was
Yeah.
like last week, and then you had stuff on Audible. Like everybody had a sale going on
Yes.
Amazon,
Yeah.
so I got a bunch of
A whole bunch of
audiobooks, and
them.
then I bought a bunch of Kindle stuff because I was like, I just need more to devour when I take my little
Yes.
staycation
Yeah.
and read books.
And
So
the Coach one is actually this one is on Kindle monthly deal for all of December. So it's $4.99 for the whole it's all 5 books in one volume on Kindle or it's Kindle Unlimited. And this is so the first brother is Lincoln is then the Nash brothers are kind of a spinoff of this series. So
okay,
if you want to start from the very beginning of the Nash brothers, it's the Coach.
the Coach.
We'll start with
Okay,
that.
okay, I have to go. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's. I think it is that one. I have to go look because it was like it said you had like it was 5 books in one. So I
Yeah.
remember that. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go check now because I'm blanking on it right now. I'm like, what's wrong with my brain? So
No, I have
what
a
is
lot of
your
books.
yes? So what is your favorite kind of character or personality or archetype to write?
Well, I like kind of like the bad boy, and then like kind of the good girl, and like the two of them coming together is always like a fun, yeah. So I think a lot of my girls are like the good girl kind of character, and a lot of my boys are like the kind of the bad boy until they meet the right one and settle down. So that's
Yeah.
probably what I'd have to go with for both male and female.
Do you struggle with writing from the male's POV?
No, I don't know. I think it's just kind of become like second nature now after doing it so many times. But every once in a while I'll go because my husband works from home And actually, we used to share an office when COVID first hit. And I was like, I cannot be in here with you. Like, I can't write books while you're on the phone call all day. So we turned our front room into my office, which we already had bookshelves in here. So it worked out fine. I just moved my computer up here and here we are. But sometimes I'll go into his office and be like, hey, what would like a man think about this? Or like, how would this work or whatever? So he's
Yeah,
always good for opinions like that.
getting the inside scoop.
Yeah.
So when you're writing, because I know you said you write while your kids are at school, do you have a certain number of scenes you try to get done, or chapters, or like a word count?
I do word count. So my daily goal is 2,000 words. But in my head, it's 3,000 words. That's what I try to get 2,000 a day, which really like dating the defensive back is like 116,000, I think. So let's do the math. 50, it's like 60-ish, right? Days to write that whole entire book if I get 2,000 words a day. But I do take off usually, like I said, weekends now. If they're off school, I usually can't get up here to get words unless I can get
Yeah.
in like first thing in the morning. Sometimes I can. But yeah, so 2,000 words a day is kind of the minimum goal.
Yeah. So then so you said about 53, the math. So how long does it take from when you like start it to when like we get it to finish?
So that process has changed for me like significantly over the last year or so. I work with Podium Audio, and they have put my entire sports backlist into audio, and they're doing simultaneous releases or close to with the Nash Brothers series. So they need the books 3 months in advance in order for them to do the simultaneous audio. So like I've already turned in my book that's coming out March 6th. And I've never been this far ahead in my career. So it's kind of awesome. The one I'm writing right now is coming out June 12th. I haven't even like said the title anywhere yet. So that one, it's the final. This is kind of a spoiler, but in Tempting the Tight End, we find out there's actually two more Nash brothers out there. So there's going to be a total of 5 books in that series. And the fourth one's coming March 6th. It's Quitting the Quarterback. And then the fifth one's coming in June. And so, yeah, so
So
I feel like I
is
have
that
something else to say.
after those two, then you're gonna start your like a new series, a new group of people, or will it be another spin-off from somebody else within the
It'll be a new series. I'm kind of back and forth on exactly where I want it to go. It'll most likely be football just because I love writing football books. And I'm debating if I want to do like a team and a bunch of players from a team, or if I want to do brothers again because I really like the dynamic of brothers. But it's kind of tough to figure out like how realistic is it that another family with 5 boys in it all play for the NFL? But it's fiction. Like, does it have to be realistic?
Yeah.
I'm kind of
No.
weighing all that right now and trying to figure out as I get toward the end of the book I'm writing too, because I want to introduce who the next characters are going to be before we get to the end. So I kind of have to figure that out as I'm almost done writing the next one. It's like I'm at like 85,000 words and my goal is 100,000. So
Yeah. You have
we're
to
getting close to
plan
the
it
end.
out and stick it in there.
Yeah.
So, do you enjoy the process of working with the artist to do the covers?
Yeah, so my cover designer, I've been with her since my 18th book, and I just published 75. So we have been together for a very long time.
Yeah.
She is absolutely amazing, and she could do anything. I mean, like, this is a stock photo, and she photoshopped the football in to his hands. Yeah. So like back when Manchester covers were all the rage, like we did
Yeah.
photos of these, right? And now illustrated is really popular in sports, and this is her design too. So and then we have actually I have them nearby. We have like character art too that she's done for me, and I love working with her. Her name is Nejla Kwamber, and she is in Bahrain. So it's usually like a kind of like a 24-hour turnaround in our communication, but she's incredible. I love working with her.
Wonderful. That's really awesome. I think they're so cute with the little characters and stuff.
Yeah.
It's great. So, in your opinion, what makes a great story?
I think kind of what we talked about a little bit earlier about these two characters who like have these flaws and these goals that are different from each other, and having them come together and solve those goals kind of for each other, even if they're at odds at first. That's what I think that makes a great story. And I know like even when I'm watching a movie or whatever, like if there's not some romance element to it, like I don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
I get bored. Like I need romance. Like someone said that new movie Twisters was so good, but you wanted them to have like a romance and there really wasn't. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But I'm like, well, I don't really want to see it now if there's no
Yeah.
romance.
I'm the same way. My husband's like, "You want to watch a movie?" I was like, "No, no." It's
Do they
missing
get
a big
together?
box for me.
Yeah.
With your characters, do you get them coming in and they're like really loud, or do you have like, let's say someone that you see on the street, or like a family member or friend like has something that they say or something that sparks the idea?
I think it's more like they come in loud. Every once in a while, like it takes me a little bit of time to get to know who that character is. Even with all my pre-writing stuff, like I just need to start writing it to kind of get to know them better. But I do try to add in something that makes them more realistic. Like Grayson likes Tootsie Rolls, or Spencer builds Legos and the wedding the wide receiver, and then Asher and tempting the tight end wears these like ridiculous shirts just to annoy his brothers with like neon dinosaurs on them or whatever. And actually I wore my gingerbread man shirt, just this is a total side note, because like on the cover they have gingerbread man shirts. So I got
Yeah,
myself one to match the book cover.
there. It was super cute. I haven't
So
done that yet. I want to get
the
a
ugly
sweater
sweaters.
and do the sweater picture.
Yeah, we did it this year. It's not the gingerbread man, but I ordered sweaters for everyone. And we went to the North Pole experience up in Flagstaff and saw Santa, and we all got our pictures together in our matching sweaters.
Do you have any things you guys do for the holidays that's like a tradition or something fun?
We do like we have two elves for Elf on the Shelf, so we do that. And I just love, like, I'm very much a Pinterest mom. Like I love doing all the Christmas magic things. And then this is like a funny Christmas tradition in my family. So like many years ago, my mom was putting like stuff together for a garage sale, and we found this box of plates, and they have different cheeses on them, and they're just like hideous looking plates. And so she was just going to sell them at the garage sale, so I grabbed them and wrapped them up and gave them to her for Christmas. And then this became like this huge family tradition now. Someone gets the cheese plates every year. And it has morphed into like where we play a game and someone ends up with the cheese plates because of the game. And now like my kids are playing it too. And it's a lot of fun. So that's like our big family tradition. Someone's gonna end up with the cheese plates.
It's fun. That's like a spin on, is it White Elephant?
Yeah, like a white
Yeah,
elephant.
yeah. That's really fun. What is the most surprising thing you've learned on your writing journey?
I don't know. Probably just that I can do it. Like when I look back at 2013 before I hit publish, I would never have imagined in 2024 I would have 75 books out and be doing this full time. So I think that's like a shock to like look back at the journey and see where I've ended up. And it's pretty cool.
It is, it's very cool. With being a writer, what's your like most favorite part? Is it like finishing typing the end, writing the story, or is it like meeting the fans?
Oh, it's all fun. It's all fun,
All
except
fun.
editing. I don't like editing, but anything else. Yeah, I like meeting the fans. I always have a great time at events, and they're just a lot of fun. There's something like I like that magic of being in the middle of a story, not like, excuse me, not like the mushy middle, which is like hard to write, but like right before you hit that point and you're like flying through the keys. And like that's like the most exhilarating part of being an author for me, is like knowing where you're going and having a great time with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. And you get to live like 1,000 lives for
Yeah,
sure
totally.
as a writer. So what was the first like romance book you got introduced to, when you started reading?
No idea. Probably like the Sweet Valley High. Like I feel like there was some sort of relationship that somebody had, and it wasn't like the kind of romance we read now. But when I was, in junior high reading Sweet Valley High, that was probably like the start of it all for me. I was actually thinking about that before. Even Babysitters Club, I feel like they had like a crush on their friends or whatever, and that kind of started that journey of romance, way
Yeah,
back when.
definitely. That was like bread and butter for
Yeah.
our like age group.
Yeah.
Everybody loved that. So for sure.
Yeah.
So from publishing that first book to now, you were saying a lot has changed with how you're doing it. Is there anything that was really surprising to you with the shifts that you've made in publishing?
If you would have asked me 5 years ago if I would ever have an illustrated cover, I would have said no, like, no, it's gonna be couples or man chest forever, but that's not what the market dictates. It's just not anymore, and so now I look at my books with the illustrated covers and I think they're so cute. Like, I mean, I know you can't tell there's, like, some naughty stuff going on in here, but I just love how they turned out, so that would be a big surprise.
Yeah, I've noticed it's been kind of like a shift, like really fast
Yeah,
over from what it was. And now some authors are doing where they do the one cover and they're doing the other cover and then they're doing another
yes,
cover for Kindle. And I'm just like, that's so much to keep track of. But it's
it
cool
is.
because then it's like a special edition for each one. But
Yeah.
it's amazing how much it's changed.
And I do have a special edition, I think, of I don't know, here's one of dating the defensive back. So I don't know if you can see, but it's like got it's all gold foiling, and then it has the sprayed edges too. Can you see the
Goodness. Okay.
in
Can
the
so
back?
I might need to get that. I am all
I have a store.
You have a
It's just a
store?
job form. Yeah, it's on my website. You can just click shop, and it'll take you, and it'll that's on the form.
Ooh, awesome. I'm going to do that. I love foil. I love the sprayed edges. That's
They're
like my
so pretty.
favorite. Do you do anything to improve your writing or hone your craft more?
Yeah, so I've done some different conferences and things like that, or I'll buy like craft books, especially I'm in a lot of author groups on Facebook, and when I see people recommending different things, I'll go one click it.
Yeah.
Or like we were talking about the sorry, the Clifton Strengths before, just taking those classes and things like that to continue to try to improve.
What was one of your favorite books as like a child or an author when you were like a child that you really loved?
Probably the Babysitters Club ones.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like every week we were like getting more because I loved reading them.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good series. So, do you know your love language? And then do you try to include that in your stories?
I actually don't know what my love language is. No, but I do include strengths. So I look
Yeah,
through like the different Clifton strengths and
yeah.
I assign strengths to my characters and make them act based on what those strengths are.
Oh, you
Yeah.
should go check out your love language.
I know. I know.
There's quality time,
I
acts of
know.
service, words of affirmation, and gifts. I think those are the four. Oh, there's one more.
There's like
Physical touch.
the physical touch. So I
Yeah.
swear my husband is physical touch because he's always like, "Oh, let's snuggle." And I'm like, "Don't touch me." You know, like I'm trying to go to sleep. And then, but I think mine would probably be like the either acts of service or the physical, no, not physical, the words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
Because
Yeah.
I like hearing like, oh, good job or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like when
Encouragement.
people just do things and show you that they love you through their acts. I feel like that probably be that one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've never like actually taken the test to find out. Isn't there like a test?
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
test. It's pretty interesting. I ended up getting two. I was two. I was acts of service and then quality time. So those
Okay.
were mine.
Well,
But
quality time might be one for me too. I don't know. I would have to, yeah, I have to take the test.
yeah, it's pretty fun. So what's something unique or quirky that we maybe don't know about you?
That I'm a Pinterest mom.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people would put the 2 together that, like, she's this romance author who writes, like, these dirty scenes, and then, she's volunteering at her kid's school for like, I teach the art class at my kid's school once a month and things like that. Yeah, so it's like finding the balance between the 2.
Like since you do the art class, do you have like a hobby with art?
No, I don't. So it's like this whole program that the district does where like they create all the lessons and they just want parent volunteers to come in and kind of guide the kids through it. And since I used to be a teacher, like it's not a big deal for me to go in and teach the lesson. You learn about the artist and then you do something in the same style as the artist. And so like you don't really have to be an artist to do it, but I enjoy crafting and I enjoy doing like artsy things. But I would say my I wouldn't quit my day job to do that.
Okay. Have you ever made a wreath since
I
that's
have,
kind of
yes.
in that
I actually
story?
have. It's a Valentine's wreath, and my sister-in-law and I like went together, and you get like the wire, and then you put the mesh all over it and stuff. So I used my experience with that
Yeah.
when I wrote that book.
When you wrote it, yeah. I thought that. I was like, I'm gonna ask because it was very, detailed. So what do you do to unwind after you finish a book? I know you said you kind of jump into the next one, but do you
Yeah.
do anything to kind of like
Not really. No, on release day, I've started treating myself to something. So like maybe I'll go get a pedicure, or maybe I'll go, get my hair done or whatever. But I release so often. It's not
Yeah.
time to get my hair done yet. I just released 2 months ago. So, but I'll try to do something for myself, in part because it gets me out of the house. Otherwise, I'm sitting on the computer clicking refresh and going crazy because Amazon hasn't updated yet and all that kind of stuff. So it's good to get out of that house and go do something. But I would say that that's about it. And then I dive into the next one.
Do you look at reviews or do
I
you
do.
shy away?
I do really more like when my ARC team starts, like when the ARCs go out and I'm getting ARC reviews for to grab quotes for Amazon and things like that, or for posts on social media. I like to have like the review quotes. So I'll look at them then. Once the book releases, I'll kind of look through them once in a while, but not read every single one. I used to, but now because like Dating the Defensive Back was so popular, I was getting so many reviews that it just takes a lot of time to go through and read every single one now. But I do, yeah, like flip through them on occasion, and I try to like only click the 5-star ones because
Yeah.
when you see like the 1 star, it's like it hurts, but you move on. You gotta have a thick skin.
I usually just say it was either not that time for them to read the book or it just was not the right book for them to read.
Yeah, and I get that after all these years and all these books, that not every book is for every person, and that's perfectly okay. And I don't want you to waste time on something you don't like. Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So my last question for you is what message do you want readers to take away from after reading your book?
Just that there's a happily ever after for everyone. Like we all go through hard times and we all struggle, but there's still hope to get through it and come out on the other end with a smile. Thank
Definitely
you.
is the case. Most readers want to have a moment to just be in someone else's life and feel all the feelings.
And I've heard a lot of readers say like they read to escape the real world, and that's why I write. It's great to just make up your own world and make things happen.
Yeah, it's like the perfect partnering because of
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, thank you again so much for
Yes.
coming on today. And it was so great to chat with you and learn
Me
more about
too.
your books and the phenomenal accomplishment of 75 books. That's a
Thank
lot.
you.
And
Thank you.
I know I'm going to go down a rabbit hole for sure with a ton of books. I'll have to start back at the beginning and go forward. I always like to start. Well, I jumped in this one towards the end, but I'm going to go back and read from the beginning so that I
I
can
love that.
know all the details. I love when there's shoot offs and off spins, and you,
Yeah.
like you said, the where you hear about another couple when you're in the new couple and you see them still happy and just that whole dynamic.
Yes. Good. Well, thank you.
Of course. So I've linked her information below for you so that you can find her on Instagram and her website. And definitely share this if you have a book bestie that likes romance, sports romance. And please like and subscribe and join me next time as we get another look behind the book. And thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.